want unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
So happy people. Karibuni, jambo. How are you all doing today? We are live again on the Pan African Daily TV on this exclusive one-on-one interview with Queen Yaah. She's the Queen Mother of the Southern Cameroons Kingdom, but she's the daughter of the continent of Africa, the land of the Embo. Yes. So while you are joining the conversation today, make sure you click like and share and respect the community standards of our YouTube TV channel. I am highly backed up today. As you can see, when you see me smile and my smile gets bigger, so you understand where we are coming from, where we are going to. I'll really have to make some quick updates while we wait for Patrick to connect our streamline on the other platforms before we start on this engaging, moving, warm-hearted conversation. But if you just want to know, we want to get into a very exclusive topic on the role of motherhood in the liberation of Africa. As we all know, nothing has been said about this. We all hear about warriors that fought for the liberation of Africa. We even hear about the creation of Africa, Organization of African Union, which is popularly known today as the AU or the African Union. And we never even heard that there even was a queen in the creation of that. So we begin to ask, a union of how many states, 55 plus, and its diaspora. And on that creation in 1963, there wasn't a woman. There wasn't. How come we don't hear their names? Yeah, were they just busy taking care of the community? So we want to get into the subject matter today, and we want to use a very specific and a strategic case study called the Tacombuns. Tacombuns, you have to learn to pronounce that word today. But if you like, you can Google or you can go on Wikipedia and just put Tacombuns. Some people spell it with E, some with U, and you get the whole history about this. These are the queen warriors of the Southern Cameroons, today referred to as Amazonians, that fought. They use a kind of a strategic pattern, to share the concerns and the regards of their political opponents, as I can say, or to address issues that were not working well in the community. So today we have a special guest who is the global spokesperson and the Queen Champion lady that is representing this organization worldwide. She's going to be telling us about the history of the Tacombuns. She's going to tell us how the mothers actually were champions even before, and some other nitty-kitty things. I had a very warm conversation. I had to learn a lot, but I don't want to share it and I don't want to keep it to myself. So I want us all to get on this conversation. It is very important to understand why we are focusing on this case study, of course, because of the current situation in the Southern Cameroons. We heard about it from Al Wahab on Tuesday, who did a very exclusive presentation on the situation, on the challenges and the way forward. So, but we're taking it on this dimension to focus on the attention of our mothers and the role that they played even before. They were the champions that actually drove the colonies on the continent, but today they're still fighting a lot of battles. If they're not fighting battles within the community on their political oppressed black on black crimes, they're actually dealing with other communal or criminal crimes. Like in the war in Southern Cameroons, you see women are the ones that are targeted, they're raped, they're brutally murdered, grandmothers are being burned alive in their beds, in their homes, and today we see it's like a common a situation where the grandmothers are the one burying their children, or some are even picking the pieces and the bodies around. This is something that in ancient Africa. We want to take a look at why does it happen like this? Why? And I am not an expert. We have an expert right here sitting in front of us. Dr. Yaah Kilo Maggie is welcome to this show tonight. But before we go on, while we warm up and just wait for our public to join, you guys settle in, take your pen and your paper, put your drinking water aside. As you know, the Pan African Daily TV is all about seeking solutions to Africa's challenges by Africans for Africa. So we dig into what our past is, our present, and our future, but we create those solutions. We don't sit and carry our hands in the air. So it's the same thing with the conflicts on the continent, where Africans are digging to look at the solutions, where we how we forge ahead. What is it that we learned from the mistakes that we did? What is it also that is in our traditions that we might start thinking of, leaving them behind and, try to implement the times and technologies into it. So while we wait for all of you to connect, and I need a green light from Patrick to say all is well, let us just listen and usher in Yaah through this traditional piece that was actually dedicated when the Queen Mother of this kingdom consort is about to appear on any place. They would have to usher him through this traditional setup. Watch it. Ashe, thank you so much. I mean, that is the official welcome to this program, Dr. Yaah. Good evening or good morning to you.
It's now 1 o'clock here in Houston, so I'll give you a warm good afternoon from sunny Houston, Texas. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. What are the temperatures out there? You can see, I mean, I'm telling you, I can't stand the heat. I mean, even my cameras and everything is acting because everything is just so hot out here. What are the temperatures out there?
I think today is going to go up to 90. So, yeah, it's quite hot outside and it's very sunny too. So, it's beautiful.
Right. Do you want to, can you compare these kind of degrees or these temperatures out here with the one back on the continent? I think it's absolutely different.
The seasonal changes actually help. So, you know that the heat is going to be on for 3 months until September. And then it begins to cool down until the December, when you go through fall and winter, and then you start expecting spring to warm up again until the summer. So at home, it's sort of, stable for two seasons only, where you have the rainy season and the dry season, but the temperatures are kind of quite stable. So if you go to the mountains where we come from, you will find that the temperatures are much cooler up in the grass fields of Bamenda, and sort of mustier, hotter, thicker when you go down to the areas around Victoria, Limbe. So the difference is the changing in the seasons, and how high you are from the waters, how far inland you go. And our mountainous environment actually makes it really beautiful for us of the north. Yeah.
Beautiful. Queen Mother, may I ask you? I know maybe I'm getting a little bit impolite on this, but what is the Queen Mother doing in Houston? Shouldn't you be in the palace or in your community?
Well, everybody knows that there is a war going on in our homeland, and I had to take Mama Kilo and move to Houston so that she should be warm enough to be okay in her own self, and then wait for the normalcy to return, for peace to return in our land before I can go back home. That is the reason why. And while we are getting older, The healthcare in Texas, especially in Houston, is really good. So I find that, taking care of my mother and family members here is very good while the war lasts. So hopefully we'll get to peace and we can go back and start rebuilding, reconstructing our homeland.
Of course, this is really intentional to ask you that because I know even though you're sitting there, but you're piloting a lot to bring that peace to action and also, to make sure that everyone is secure, those that cannot run out of that, the refugees that are, moving to neighboring, those who don't have access. You have been very, very equivocally strong in the struggle of the women back. I mean, of course, we're going to get into the topic proper of this motherhood and the liberation, which you champion for years and centuries, and to get into the history and the dynamics of that. But of course, let's just stay a little bit for a while we get everyone gets connected before we dive into the topic. I know that even you being out there, you're doing a very serious work. 2 weeks ago, or you're on campaigns, you're on seminars, you're on trainings. What is it that you actually focus on at this period? I mean, you have refugees, you have trauma, you have insecurity, you have feelings going on. When you go on these seminars to talk about the current situation, what is it that is the focus for you right now?
The focus for me is to make sure that we get to the peace, that we bring back our country to a point where people can have normal lives, children can go to school, women and families can be safe in their communities without having the bullets, go off at them, and that we can actually rebuild and reconstruct our communities, our homes, our villages, our towns, to the place where our youths have opportunity, not just to go to school, but also to get jobs, to have livelihoods, to have a life that is everything that every mother wants for their children, and every community wants for itself, where people can prosper, businesses can go on, the economy can thrive, people can have good health facilities, and live in a politically promising and growing and developing society. So we are stuck here, but we have a home where there's a lot of opportunity and promise for us to go back to.
Beautiful. Apart from that, you I mean, you tell us a lot about you, but I'm trying to put it out from what I know on that. You have been very, very, what do I say, influential. You're one influential African queen. I mean, heading and leading even departments and stationery on the African Development Bank. Not only just an expert, but a consultant. And you even have been awarded with one of the precious awards from Sir Leif Johnson, the former president of Liberia. And among other awards that you've acquired and achieved, and you've really actually taught more than half the continent, either in your engagement or on your professions. Now, you are the true daughter, not just a queen, but a Pan-African. Now, you look at Africa, you look at the situation globally, the conflicts, the everything. What do you think that the woman, the queen mothers, should be doing? Should we train more the women? Should we train more the men? What is it that we should pay attention to?
From each, we will have their talents to contribute to the development of the continent. So we cannot emphasize training for only men. We have to give training, provide training for women as well. And women only seek the opportunity to be able to acquire the knowledge and make the contribution to their society. So when you look at men and women, the traditional society have them playing different roles. But the knowledge that, the basic knowledge that drives every human being should be made available to everybody. In ancient society, women had very, very specific roles, um, and they also rose in their own ranks, separate from the male society. In modern society, all the genders come together and they work together, and you don't differentiate anymore between what women do and what men do, besides the fact that the procreation roles that are given to women and those that are given to men. That's the only difference. In our lives today, you find women heading households, doing jobs that maybe 50 years ago only men did. And that is sort of basically the main difference between ancient society and modern society today. What do we want for women? We want women to be able to enter into leadership roles and to be able to do things to contribute their talent. If you look even in the Bible, it says, the parable of the talent says, some people were given 10 talents, whereas others were endowed with two. But the master, the God who created us, wants us to utilize our talents for the benefit of mankind, basically. And women are endowed with very, very diverse and important talents to make that contribution. To make that contribution. So we want to see that women have the opportunity to gain the skills that they need to make the contribution that society also needs. Mhm.
Um, if we look at the issue of, anyway, let's just go to the topic. If not, because it might take another term of the diversion of it. Now we want to focus on the role of women in the political contribution of Africa's liberation, because nobody has been talking about it. I don't think it's something that women even need the opportunity, because they already had it, the skills, they had it, they manage everything, but they just still marginalized on underprivileged. If you look at the killings, the rapes, the everything, the leadership itself on the continent, this is sick. It's a whole the structure, and even women that have become like men now because of the too much structurals that are. And then this idea of always, oh, women need the skills. Women, I don't think women own all of this, but they just need to reposition themselves according to what your organizations has been propelling. So tell us a little bit about this Takumben and the role that they play, and the role that these warriors, even the ones from South Africa, the Amazons and the queens that always, the mothers that rule Africa and supported this movement. What is the Takumbens all about?
Now, Takumben actually, and you will find that when I talk, I'll make that comparison between ancient society and modern society. So the name Takumben actually describes postmenopausal women, women who are done with childbirth, that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and they have a particular role in society. Among our different tribes, I'll say the word Takumben actually comes from the Gemba tribe of the Bamenda Grassfield.
Mhm.
In the Soul group, you call them the Chong, and in the Com group, they are called Anlu. And what they do, besides the ritual, besides the role, in Africa, women get status with age, so a young girl does not have the same status in society as a teenage girl, as a childbearing mother, or as a grandmother. So when you get older, you are looked upon with a lot of respect. And this comes from the fact that in ancient society, childbearing was a very clouded in mystery. If you had a difficult pregnancy, for instance, how did you survive? Basically, you died. So the risk of bearing children, of being a mother, of giving birth, it was all very sacred. And, people also looked upon women to continue and grow the tribal group. So a woman who actually gave birth and raised children and had many children was looked upon as having some powers that she's been endowed with, because there was no technology, there was no C-section, there was no, I asked my grandmother, for instance, I said, so what did you do when a woman had a difficult pregnancy? And she told me, basically you died. And so women died a lot through childbirth. So polygamy actually came about to, group women together so that they could help each other in that, continuation of society, bearing children. So if a child uh, was given birth to and the mother passed away, another mother would breastfeed that child and raise that child within the family. And so you had the roles that women played to really maintain family and make that continuity. And when you got to being postmenopausal, when you had stopped having children, it means that you had gone through life, you've seen so much in life, you've gotten to the place where now you have that knowledge to pass on because of your experience, because of what you've lived through. And so women who were at a certain age where they don't have children anymore because they've gone through life's experience, those types of women were really, really revered in society and had a lot to do with the traditions of society. If a woman is at a certain age, those are the people that you go to because you want to know what happened in history. They are the ones who pray for the society. They are the ones who come out, and they come out when there is a crisis. For instance, if rain does not come, what do? You turn to the Takumbeng. They come out and they cry and they put ash on their bodies. They sit out and they pray to the gods, and the gods listen to women. Because even in the Bible, those old women, the widows, those women who have really experienced life, they are also very, very much revered. So the Tacombuns, the Anus, the Chong, the women of old are those that have the heart of the society. They carry the burden of taking care of the group spiritually, of crying to the gods, of relating to and solving problems for the rest of society. So women are very, very much revered as they get older. And when they get to that point where they don't have children anymore, where people come now to them to save the society, they come out in their numbers. And sometimes they would come out stark naked if there was a political problem. And they would, shock everybody into doing the bidding and taking care of the society. For me, that is basically what that ritual is for a group like Tacombuns. Now, historically, we have adapted Tacombuns to peace because, we had a lot of intertribal wars in ancient society in Africa. The resources were scarce, especially and farming and harvest. So if there was a famine, the women would come out and pray and call on the gods, and rain would come. So women actually played that role. And during the colonial period, the Anlu women, the Takumbang women, the Chong women, they came out and they demanded that the colonial masters allow our people to have the land, to keep their land, to keep their weapons, their traditional ritualistic weapons, and to maintain their culture, as colonialism came along, and fought for independence as well. Yeah. Does it make sense?
It makes a lot of sense because we saw how in 1992 or so, when the main that by then the main opposition party was being sought in Cameroon, the Social Democratic Front. It was these women. They came out in thousands, naked, you know. And one thing that I like you to stress on, like you said before, their strategy is very unique. Like for some of our audience, particularly the diaspora that is following us, it is difficult for them to actually understand because they're not the warriors that had weapons, isn't it? What were their weapons and the strategies they used?
Yeah, they usually carry peace plans. These are a type of plans that are very common in our area. So when the women go out, they are stark naked. They have, if it's in a warlike situation, they actually rub their bodies with ash, and they hold in their hands the peace plans, and they sing. They have particular songs that they sing, and during the democracy period in Cameroon, for instance, when the SDF party was being launched, the Takumbeng actually came out in Bamenda, and that's why we all use the Takumbeng, because of that period when the women came out, and for weeks and weeks they actually rallied around the chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party and protected him, from the forces of the uniformed people who are actually on our land today and undertaking this war and kills. So they came out and they protected Ni John Frundi, who was the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, and he had won the election, but the election was denied him, and they came and protected him over that period. The Takumbeng was surrounded his house and his compound in Bamenda in Tariko, and made sure that the military could not get to him. So yeah, they played that very, very important role in making sure that there was peace at that time in Bamenda, and you didn't have the kind of situation that we have right now.
If you compare that period and now, what has changed? Do you think that this power sustained? Do you think that a community actually pays attention to them and think this is one of the biggest weapon we can use? Or you think now there's too much civilization, people don't pay that attention, like this is a strategy that we can use to shut down all these corrupt governments that we have everywhere?
I think what has changed is the fact that the military solution to the problems have really been overwhelming. When you see the way the military moved into Bamenda in 2016 and moved into our towns, into our villages, causing a lot of anxiety and taking livelihoods away from the people, burning homes, looting, destroying people's livelihoods, their crops. You know how we store harvest up in the houses. They make a roof which we call banda, and they store all the corn, the beans, and all of that. When the military comes into the village, they just burn the homes, burn people's harvest, and that has been far more disruptive and destructive during this part of the violence than in the 1990s, when the pro-democracy movement was on with Frundi and the Social Democratic Front. Today, I mean, this is war. I mean, it's a frightening situation. When you talk to people who are at home, families, people just ran to the bushes. And in fact, a lot of women who stayed, older women who could not move from their homes, were burnt in their homes. We saw dead bodies, we saw all of that, and it was really painful. So coming out with peace plans, the military still shot at people. But in the 90s, during the pro-democracy movement for the SDF, you had some shooting, but you didn't have it as bad and as violent as what is happening today. In fact, schools cannot go on. Women cannot go to their farms. People cannot farm, things. people have had to move away as IDPs, internally displaced persons, in parts of La République du Cameroon, in some towns. And we now have a large number of our people as refugees in Nigeria and in Ghana. The numbers, they give you 700,000, but we know, because of our proximity to Nigeria and the fact that our people live along, there's a shared border there, you can say there's far more than the numbers that are official numbers. Yeah.
I think I know you're a queen mother, and you know much better. If you look at the psychological status quo of Africa, and you talk about the present day situation, this military, they are not white people. They are children of Africa. They're blacks. They're Africans. Now, from an African cultural setup, which child would kill a mother? Did it ever happen when you say we had in ancient African time, there were tribal wars? From the state, the way we have grown and grow up, which child, African child, would shoot at a mother? So that's why I ask, what has really changed? Are we that so sick, or what is actually going on in terms of our spirituality, in terms of being normal people? The rate at killing, be it in Zimbabwe, be it in Uganda, where the elections we see that women are so targeted. In South Africa, the target at war now is just women. And the people that are doing and perpetrating this are men. And the men are African sons and daughters of these grandmothers and mothers. Where are we going to then?
It's when you look at African society now, the difference between ancient society and society today is the fact that conflict has been so weaponized. Have military, a standing army, a national army going after citizens of its own country. And for us, we look at the situation in especially Central Africa, and we see all the, especially Francophone countries, I would say, that have a conflict right now. In the DRC, the war there has been going on for such a long time. Rwanda had its own, Burundi had its own kind of problems, Centrafrique, Chad, all these countries which are French-speaking countries. And if you take even West Africa, you have a lot of conflict. Thankfully, Sierra Leone and Liberia have come out of their own conflict situation. But Cote d'Ivoire was in conflict, and Mali today is in conflict as well. Niger has its own type of conflict going on. So mostly it's the Francophone countries. And you see what is actually sad in the situation of your own country and mine is the fact that, there is a linguistic divide, and we are in that neighborhood of Francophone countries. So as a minority English-speaking population within a Francophone neighborhood, we get like the French who I would put it very sadly and compare it to a slave situation. So we have the Francophone countries that are now working like slaves and trying to enslave us who are identify ourselves as Anglophone within this minority situation, that we, the Anglophones, become now like the slaves to the French slaves, if you see what I mean. So you have the slave master, the French people who control all of Francophone Africa, control the resources, control the economy, control opportunity. They come with the bribery and corruption that has really actually taken everything from our youth, and within that French and Francophone environment, we have the Anglophone now in a very sad situation because, the French take from the Francophone majority, and then the Francophone majority take from us, to continue to feed the French. So it's like I've seen these pictures of cartoons where the French are this big man, and then the African there is a skinny old pa and still taking and giving to the French. And it looks like we become now even skinnier than the skeletal poor. So what we want to do now, having seen the situation, to say we want to get out from under this, pile and pile of anguish that has been placed on our people. We want our youth to have opportunity. We want our children to go to school. And we want to maintain a school system, an education system that works very well for us. We want our legal system, our justice system that works for us. We don't want an imposition of the French system, because we don't want the Napoleonic system on us. We want our own system that works very well for us. Unfortunately, with the history of our decolonization, we moved from the frying pan into the fire. We didn't know our people who were making the decision at the time that they were given the choice of the plebiscite had no idea that the French economy was controlled and that there was a pact between Francophone countries and the French government. So you have the CFA, you have countries that don't control their economy, and they, that situation doesn't work for us, because we are analytical people as Anglophones. We have our own minds, we have the way our systems work. And if you look at Africa today, you will find the top 10 countries, there's not one Francophone country among the top 10 African countries that are developing, not one. If you look at the bottom countries, take the bottom 22 countries, most of them are Francophone countries. Why should we be in that kind of an environment? What do we have for our children? What kind of promise can we say that our children will have when you have university students, people who graduate with master's degrees, PhDs in our country, in our homeland, and they are all, motorbike riders? They don't have opportunity. You can't do business. They come and close your business. The gendarmes are there, the BIR, the Brigade d'Intervention Rapide. They come into your villages. They burn everything. They take from you. So what life is that for our children? So as a mother, I look at it and I say, we want better. We just want better for our children. This is bad for us. Yes.
It is pure. I mean, I heard Noblesse. I was just about to say this. This is some kind of stupidity. I don't really know. I'm just giving the comments of my viewers here to say this is pure madness. I mean, I want to focus on this issue of language. And I want to let me go into the example of the Tacombuns, which are the mothers, the grandmothers. They don't speak English. They don't speak French. Let me say from that generation of our grandmothers. Now, if a grandmother from the Southern Cameroons and the one from, East Cameroon, they meet, would they see each other like this one was French, this one was English? Now, where did this root cause of language that became a culture? And we even heard, even the president of La République said it in France, that we cannot even be the same countries because of the diversity. We have two different cultures. If we look at it critically, how different are we in culture apart from this colonial language that has actually made us to become like, coconuts? Just black in the outside and white in the brains. How do we solve this kind of madness?
The language divide is very clear. That language actually came with institutions.
Yes.
And it's actually the institutions that have made, and that the institutions come with a mentality.
Correct.
So when you look at the people that we call Francophone, they don't have a management of their own economy. The CFA is even the money. We say we live in a bilingual country, and I take the CFA note. I don't see a single word in English on the CFA note. So, what is bilingual about, our arrangement, our financial arrangement? There is not a single Francophone country that manages its own economy like Nigeria, that has the naira, it manages its economy, it prints the money, it has its central bank. We don't have that. If our people knew that that was what we were going into, they wouldn't have agreed to that kind of a system. So I take the arrangement between two countries like Gambia and Senegal. Gambia is located in the belly of Senegal. It's an Anglophone country. In the 1980s, they tried a union called Senegambia. Senegal, much bigger, and Gambia, a smaller country. They tried that union for 8 years. The Senegalese and the Gambians, they speak the same language, Wolof. They are mostly Muslim. They have the same traditions. But the fact that the language came with the institutions, came with the mentality where the Senegalese are very different from the Gambians. By the 8th year, the Gambians said, this union is not working. Yes, we are brothers and sisters. Yes, we speak Wolof to each other. Yes, we have Chebujen as our main food, and we have the same traditions, etc., etc. But because we have institutions, education systems, etc., that are either Francophone with the French, Anglophone with the British, and the Commonwealth, this union doesn't work for us. And they were able to separate. Okay? Now you look at a country like Rwanda. Rwanda had the genocide that was actually propagated by the French. The French were co-conspirators to the Rwandan genocide. At least they've said so. After the genocide, when Rwanda was rebuilding its economy, it said, no, we are not going to have the French come to us anymore. We are going to have a different kind of setup. And they chose now to turn completely to the English. And they are now in a neighborhood of countries with Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, that is more progressive, rather than the Burundi, Congo DRC, Francophone grouping. They've moved away from that. And you find, some other Francophone countries like Gabon that is deciding to say, we are not going to do this French thing. We want to have our mentality, and the mentality part of it is extremely important to consider. A long time ago, in our own homeland in Cameroon, when you spoke English in Yaoundé, in the capital city, they told you, no, get that English out of here. And I think that still happens. I haven't been in Yaoundé in a long time, but I'm sure if you go somewhere, they will tell you, oh, l'anglola, that Anglo. If we were looked upon as people who were not even worth interacting with. So today, I think that they know now that Anglola is capable of defending themselves, is capable of defending passionately what they stand for. So, you look at our societies and you see clearly, even though it is a language divide, there is a mentality that goes with the language. There are institutions that go with the education system, with the justice system, with the economic system, so that you find the Anglo is more liberal, is more progressive, and the Franco remains with slaves to the French, and the French just continue to control. And that is very sad for us, who now with our Anglo mentality, with our Anglo institutions, find ourselves in a situation where we are a minority, but almost as what was Bia saying, assimilated into. We will never be assimilated into a Francophone environment. Never, it will never happen. And I hope that my Francophone brothers are listening. This Anglophone woman, and even though I'm a villager culturally and spiritually, but I'm also an Anglophone to the core. And I know that I'm speaking for those Anglophones who are very, very stubborn, very analytical, and will fight for our rights till the cows come home.
Thank you so much, Yaah, for being, I don't know, we are on the Pan-African Daily TV, and we are looking for solutions. Now, you said something that was very strategic. If we really are serious and we look in the eyes, we had two colonies, but most of them, they're the ones that show them face and others not. Right. So if we look at it critically, we're going to say one person is one of the biggest enemy, and the worst on the continent of Africa that we must get rid of mentally, and even by every means possible. Now, you said it, all neighboring countries. Rwanda went out, they're having their peace. Now they're coming back to do some apologies and try to give a handshake. Right. And all the other countries, do you think, or even all the speakers that are saying it, like Dr. Arikana said, France is the biggest enemy and the problem that we have on the continent of Africa? Imagine if they weren't. Won't we be moving away forward? I mean, we'll have maybe only one English, and English is very easy for us to do away with. What's your opinion on that?
No, the French language is not a problem. I don't have a problem with the French language. What I have a problem with is the kind of relationship that the France as a country has created for us, exploitative relationship, not a partnership with the Francophonie countries of Africa. I don't have a problem with language, the French language. I don't have a problem with French culture. I don't have a problem with the French. I have a problem with that relationship, which is purely exploitative. Where countries are not free, where the France has to put, a thumb on, insisting there's no democracy in Francophone countries. The Francophones are not free to manage their own economy. And you have very well educated people among the Francophone countries. But the relationship that is written, signed, sealed, and delivered puts Francophone countries at a serious disadvantage. And we who have chosen to be with our Francophone have been exploited because these Francophones, they think that they are superior to us. There is that overlay of the majority Francophones in our homeland believing that the Anglophone minority should be the ones who work for them like slaves. I mean, the saying in Cameroon, you go there, j'ai mon bamenda, which means I have my my bamenda person who works for me, and that is something that our people will protest that passionately. And I think that in that misunderstanding of our passion for who we are, for what we are, and what we want to be, the vision that we have, we don't have a shared vision with Francophones. I mean, I believe that Francophones enjoy being slaves to the French. You and I know we don't want that for our children. We want something else. And we know that we can have better. If you look at most of the countries that are making progress in Africa, none of them speak French. None of them are tied in that kind of a bondage relationship to France. You know, I used to manage something called the Fragile States Facility and the Fragile States Unit when I was working in the African Development Bank. And one day I had a gentleman from the Francophonie come to talk about, you know, fragility. And I told them, I said, you know, the fact that you have chosen to keep our Francophone countries fragile has made sure that the youth in Francophone countries vote with their feet. Basically, you know, they don't want to have a relationship with you. So you have, just look at the heads of state of most of these Francophone countries. There are people in their 70s, 80s, and Pia is the oldest with the Obiangema, Mazogo, and Sasunge. So they're these old people. So you don't want young people. When you go to get the young people now, then you go to the children of the former heads of state. What is that? You know, there is no democracy. You know, you don't believe that, you know, people can actually be in an environment where the young people have a place. You know, so this fight to liberate ourselves from this dominance of the French is something that I think we must win. It's not something we should leave for the next generation. We are going to make sure that we you know, we win this and tell the BS, no, you cannot, you know, keep us in bondage. You want to be in bondage for yourself, but don't include us. We are not going to take it. We're not going to accept it. And it is that lack of understanding of the passion of the Anglophone in that Anglophone Francophone relationship in Cameroon that makes Biya think that they can win us militarily in a war. It's impossible. They cannot win. The bill will be eliminated by our people if they keep on going. It's not going to happen. Never.
Thank you so very much, Queen Mother. That's a very, that's a kind of a statement every son and daughter watching you would want to listen from a Queen Mother, a mother that is leading an organization that has thousands of followers, and they are all mothers who have experience and just waiting for this kind of words to say, never again, enough is enough. But I like the perspective you're talking about relationship, even though I might disagree when you say you don't have a problem with the culture, because the language and if the language, first of all, is a culture of the people. And then the culture itself is the way they do their things, which is exactly the lack of respect, the arrogance, the cruel arrogance. This is undeniable that if we look at our brothers from the French speaking, they might not be characteristically arrogant, but the language itself is so arrogant in a way. They call them frogs, right? It is not just for anything that they call them frogs, but a frog, when he speaks, is just like, you know, you see the jaws and everything. It's a kind of an arrogance. And that's why nobody would even trade with such a language worldwide. But what you're saying, that I pick it like a key factor of even the more reason why it is justifiable for any countries that is partaking in this kind of illegal relationships between these two should distance themselves actually from the relationship of this French culture. Am I right?
When I look at Vietnam, Vietnam is an old French colony. The French colonized Vietnam, and for many, many years, the Vietnamese, if you go there, you know, they still have bits of French culture. When you look at that culture, you know, I am somebody who likes languages. You know, I try to acquire and learn the languages, because in language is poetry, it's expression, it's music, it's, you know, and so I like the French.
It is romance.
Language, yes.
But it's an illegal romance.
But like I say, you know, I like Spanish, I like Italian, you know, mi amore, you know, that kind of. But when it comes to the relationship, and I emphasize that because really, the more languages you speak, the more you want to acquire. When I hear the
Right.
Mexicans speak Spanish here in Houston, Texas, I want to speak Spanish. I'm trying to learn, to speak the language. So language opens you up. You open your mind and you see even the play with words differently. And you can make music, you can make poetry, you can make art out of language. I was talking about the Vietnamese.
Yes.
Now, the French in Vietnam actually pushed the Vietnamese to want to escape from that French, and they went towards the communist world. Now, that was during the Cold War. Because America was so against, the rise of communism, and we could see the potential of Asia and the South Asia with the economy and, basically their role in the world. They tried to help the French to fight the communists that were coming up in Laos, Cambodia, and around Vietnam. What happened? When you go into an environment where the people are passionate about who they are and what they want for themselves, you meet your Vietnam, you meet your Waterloo, you meet defeat. So I put the same situation in Vietnam to our own situation in southern Cameroon to say, we are going to be Bia's Vietnam. We are going to be Bia's Vietnam because right at this moment we are speaking, you and me, and the rest of the world is listening to us. Our Francophone brothers have not understood the passion that we have for our institutions, for who we are, for the difference, for our mentality, even though they look at Anglophones and they use all kinds of names. We are Anglo-Kong, we are Anglo-Fu, we are Anglo-La, we are dogs, we are this or we are that, we are primitive, or that's what they think. When they come to our area and they see just the way we use the land, the landscape, our buildings. You go to Yaoundé. I lived in Yaoundé, and you could rent a house in Yaoundé, and it's bamboo and poto basically. You come to Bamenda and you find, homes are well built. We had systems of sanitary inspectors where the people distance the toilets from the house. And even though there were dog out toilets, you had a system of sanitary inspection where the sanitary inspector came into your neighborhood to see, to measure, to see that you were living in a very, very healthy environment. So we didn't have superly developed health systems, but we took care of basic health. Our environment was clean. There was one day a week or that people, or a month nowadays, but in those days it was a week, and people kept their gutters cleaned out. They cut the grass around their yards. They whitewashed the walls of their houses. They made sure that the environment looked nice. I remember traveling to Bamenda for the first time with my Francophone colleague. And when he got to Bamenda, he was like, oh my God, oh my God. But look at what the Francophones have done to our city of Bamenda. You plan the town, people come and buy land where the road cannot go, they build there, and look at their Yaoundé, the capital city, flooding, Douala flooding, because they don't obey ordinances, the corruption is too much. We want a situation where we can organize our lifestyle, and have a much better lives for ourselves and for our children. That's what we want. You take towns, in the old days, our streets were all named, and you had house numbers. Go look at Douala, you cannot move. They give you an address, you cannot even go there. They will tell you, oh, the rubbish heap that you pass, and the bar, and the place. And what happens? You have an environment that smells of peace. When I come from Cameroon, that's what I carry with me. Everybody drinks, and they put their pipes and exhaust systems, and the whole place smells of urine. How do you live in that kind of a place? When you come from, I know what Southern Cameroons was like, and it was not that. You didn't just have disorganized environment. You had an environment that was well taken care of, and people were very clean and very honest. Now, it is so sad to see how low we have gotten. And I know that we don't want that. We don't want that for our people. The beer can go away and we clean our place. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think what you're saying, particularly in terms of the pollution, the filthiness, and the dirtiness, that
And
has
the
nothing,
corruption.
the corruption or stuff like that. That has something to do with the lack of good governance. Do you think that has anything to do with French and France? Number one. Number two, I used to tell people, today we talk about Kigali as the cleanest city. But even before Kigali, if you look at it, Bamenda had been the cleanest city on the continent of Africa. Before everything went down the drain in the 90s and up to now, everything is just going, I mean, not even in the drain, it's now actually just flooding. But of course, like what you said, what's the cleanest city where people clean the streets and sweep every day? I grew up and I'm a Bamenda girl. And as you know, Queen Mafo is also a Bamenda girl. And actually, it's not just for a coincidence, but Bamenda girl is really going to rock the whole world. This is the youngest continent, but it is going to be the masterpiece of kicking French relationships that are not strategically managed on the continent of Africa. And we're throwing out the challenge to our French speaking brothers and sisters, Pan-African. We know that you're mobilizing. We know that you're doing everything in your power to, but it's not good enough. You have to do more than that. If we look at France everywhere, even Germany, where I'm seated today, would have been swallowed up by France. France had always been that frog, as I said, that goes and devour if you're not strong enough. So that the more we caress ourselves and share the bed with them, we know that you're only going down to your Vietnam, like you said, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. We're looking at we've talked about culture and language, and I've said no, it's not that. It's a mental. It's the relationship. It's the exploitative economic relationship. It's the political manipulative relationship. It's the trade relationship. You find a company like Bolloré come to Africa, and this company will bribe the heads of state and take over your seaport and take over your economy. And you have French companies that deal. You're talking about corruption. This is so blatant with the French. It's so blatant that you want to say, how can the locals compete when you don't give a chance to people to compete fairly? When you don't, the French come in, and that exploitative relationship makes sure that your own local economy is swallowed up by them. So everything, Orange, the phone company is there competing with, you can't have, I don't know the companies now you have in MTN is from South Africa, right? So you have MTN. Okay, I've been in countries where they have Telecel, they have, other kind of Move is in Cote d'Ivoire is another local cell company. In Cameroon, you cannot have that. In most of Francophone Africa, the locals cannot compete. And then you cannot do business because you have to constantly bribe people, and they've manipulated the international finance world so that they go along with the kinds of arrangements that the French impose on us, and our corruption has skyrocketed to the point where it's like, you want to build your house, and to fetch water, you have but a basket. So you go to the spring with your basket, thinking that you would fetch enough water to actually eventually build a house. I'm giving you this cartoon picture that I've seen on social media of a very
I have it in my home.
being fed by the skeletal Africa, and Francophone Africans, they don't see anything wrong with that. They don't see anything wrong with that. It is. I mean, there is a woman called Natalie Yaah, a
Yes, the queen from Ivory Coast. Yes.
Ivorian French woman who is now opening the eyes of our Francophone brothers and sisters as to the exploitation of that relationship. And I say, listen, it is about the exploitative relationship, nothing more for me. French people, I have nothing against you. And if you just could leave us Africans alone, even at the level of the African Union, our heads of state, they cannot talk. They cannot, fix their own houses. It's terrible.
You said something about Natalie. Now, way forward, Queen Mother. I look at no. We don't tell the French people we don't have anything against them. We have everything against them. We have everything against them. Even their people vote those politicians, and they actually know that they're draining the Africans from what they are. Yes, bring it. And so we know. No, the other one that is fat and feeding. Bring that one too. I want to show you the images that you were talking about. That is actually, I don't know. Can you see this painting?
Oh my gosh. There's another one with, yes, obviously. Right. But there's another one,
I will show it to you. I have all of them. These are all paintings that we educate our children and our young ones, and we hold it. Now you see this one.
Yeah.
This is the one that you're talking about, right?
There is another one. Of course, there are many of those. Yes. There's another one where the food is in the plate and
they're feeding it with a spoon.
It's all the same. It's all about relationship. It really is about relationship. And honestly, what we want, and if you take the World Trade Organization and what we should be looking at in the places like the WTO, is win-win relationship. If you continue to keep Africa in the exploited role so that our children don't have a future, then the French people better make room because their populations are not growing. Our populations are growing, and our youth they are strong enough to cause problems for them in future. So they better start looking at the political economic relationships in a win-win for all of us, because if they don't, we are coming. Yeah.
I think it's already too late. We are not even going to sit and ask them that they have to look at the relationship. We are saying it's over, marriage over, no more marriage. We divorced. And but the question that I was coming for before you talked about Natalie, and we want to go back to the powers of our mothers, of the Tacombuns, and the network that we should build. She's a one voice out there. I've been reaching out to her as well. Do you see a global mobilization? When we say something, people will be like, oh, you don't say your things on social media. No, we're addressing it directly on purposeful. We're not going to be doing these things in the backyard. Do you see a relationship where we women, mothers, mobilize themselves and kick out this bad relationship managers on our continent?
When you look at the women from the days of just early post-colonial days to now, women were being trained to see themselves in a subservient role. But traditionally, the African woman has been the warrior queen. The African woman looks into her society and makes contribution in almost every sphere of life, whether it's spiritual, ritualistic, economic, material, whether it's in the nurturing. Because if you go into the African society and you look, traditionally the woman would take care of the house, make sure that the harvest is there, work on the farm, come transform the food, preserve it, and feed the family, even through the dry season and the hardship days. For instance, you go into my village, you see that the woman will work, and that is why women work in groups. So when I'm going to work on my farm, I bring along my age mates. You see how our society is structured in the age group format. So your age group club will go work on your farm today. Make sure that that day they are working, you cook the food, they work, and you have ensure your harvest for the year. Then they go to the next person. So for instance, if the springtime time for farming is 6 weeks, your age group goes around and make sure that they farm enough for the period each, and they do it as a social activity. So the women go and they are singing, they are dancing, they have the rhythm, they do it's an entertainment thing, but they are working and they make sure that they have enough for each family to do. So by doing that in a group, that encourages the women to be able to work harder and work more, and they're having fun together. They do that, they come home, and the harvest is done. They take care of their children, they do all the ritualistic things that they have to do, whether it's childbirth, they celebrate together. So they have fun as they work. Now you look at modern day society, we women get isolated, even we do the group, that it's not in the same way. So we don't look for our well-being as the woman in traditional society. And the men go out to work, they keep the women in the house. The women are homemakers and they're isolated. Whereas in the village, when they go out in their age group and they do things together, they fetch water together in the age group, they do all the things that they do as entertainment, and they learn and they grow with each other and they support each other. Now, though, you isolate in postmodern society, you isolate the woman now. She is a homemaker, so she doesn't go out to work. Then slowly the women begin to go into the workplace, but they are at the low position, and the men have all the power and they have all the good jobs. And even I tell you, even in America today, the woman who does the same work as the man earns 25 cents or more less than the man. Imagine if you had all those resources, what you could do for you. So the traditional role of the woman is transformed into something that really shouldn't be. But we now have younger women who are given the same opportunity and as men, and they go out there, and what is happening? They are outperforming our men and our boys in the same professions, and so you have these women too who are the firebrands. A few women have held broken glass ceilings here and there, but the younger women, and I see them a lot around me, especially in town here, they have fire in their system. They are, the movers and shakers are the younger girls, and I admire them so much. Now, the men have to transform and accept that men and women are going to share that platform. They are going to share the work environment and the home environment, so that the man who wants a woman who will contribute economically, financially, emotionally, whatever in his life, will accept that space to be shared. And so they share at home, and they share, and they're real true partners in the life. So yes, things are changing. colonialism brought the man as the breadwinner, whereas traditional society, the male role was very different from the female role. That colonial mentality of the man as the breadwinner is changing now. So now you have women who are doing more than men, who are, running their lives and being very, very independent. And what is happening in that realm? Men and women are beginning to share. So what will happen is that role of leadership that seemed to be available only to men is now changing the world over. And our women are going to be in positions of leadership. That is a given. You cannot send your daughter to school now. She wants to be a space engineer, and you say no, or aerospace is only for men. You cannot say that anymore. And where are our boys? I think our boys too have to wake up. And there is a bit of humility that is going to come into the system, and the women are going to get, they're good managers. They're going to get even better. So look at the world, and you see those countries that are headed by women are making a lot of progress as compared to the countries that are headed by men. So women and the leadership, everything is going to change. I see that my younger sisters, our children, our grandchildren, those girls are fired up, and they are going to be moving it. They really are.
I would like us to just take it. We're going to open the lines for comments. When we come back, we want to see what is the way forward for a mobilization of a motherhood that would actually take a responsibility all together and form a union that we can work together. But before we go there, let's just enjoy the warm welcome of Yaah. You can see Yaah is very, very in all her powers when all the palace is surrounding her. Yeah, we would take a break and dance a little bit to the 5 seconds of your royal song on the Pan-African Daily TV. So, I mean, I love that piece. Play it again, Yaah. I want to take just a shot, but I have to drink water, please. Why will this sing it? Good. So yes, we are back again live in the studio, and I think that's how much Pan-African Daily TV is going to be conducting all this. We have to get the feeling and connecting back to a roots. It's a whole lot of entertainment, a whole lot of conversation. We are not just a dry seminar where we come and talk and carry hands in the air. We also share and celebrate with one another. I want to bring up some very short announcements before we continue with the conversation. Tomorrow is June 10th. We already announced it here on the Pan-African Daily TV. And I reach out to our correspondents in the US, and they're like, it is necessary that we all respect this day. So we will not be streaming live tomorrow. We want to pay respect on this national day. As we already said, it has been passed on officially as the national day to commemorate the end of slavery of the African in the diaspora. So we also on the Pan-African Daily TV would be respecting that day, so we're not going to stream, but we'll bring you event on June 10th, sorry, next week, Sunday, on a special. So they'll be telling us actually how did this work out? Did people actually take that for serious? Were business shut down? What is it about the public holiday? It's just that some lukewarm kind of thing, or some offices will not open, or it's a total shutdown to respect that. So we'll be getting that next week on Sunday special. And yes, and we wanted to do an eulogy on the passing away of Dr. Kaunda, sorry, former president of Zambia, on Sunday. But according to resources and information coming out there, his burial is the continent and Africans worldwide are mourning for 21 days. And after the 21 days would be the official burial. And in this period, we'll have to do it live like we did for the Magolification. So yes, so from tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, we'll only be back again on Tuesday on the Pan-African Daily TV. But we'll be updating and we'll be putting the live conversations that we'll be having here. So we'll only be live, but it's not going to be live, you know, one-on-one. You'll see me holding these conversations, but it's going to be a rebroadcast. It's going to be a rebroadcast, so you can call in, or you can ask questions, or you can comment. You just watch past shows like the show with Maponga and Professor James Moore. We want to rebroadcast it. And then coming, we're also still going to have that kind of spatial between Rutendo and our brother Obi, who was here. They've all agreed that we're going to do a tie together. And so what we'll be doing next is always one continental voice and one diaspora voice. For instance, today we had looked for also a diaspora voice to share the platform with Yaah, but it was not possible to get that in the constellation of Motherhood and the Tacombuns. But in the near future, we are connecting and bridging the mentality and also the need for us to work together more. Unity is what is going to kick France out of Africa. Unity, collaboration, mobilization is what is actually going to frustrate those kind of illicit relationships that, you know, the colonizers are still trying to impose on us. Unity and mobilization and teaching of the African, who we are, going back to our cultures, to our traditions, to things that our forefathers did. You know, the original plan for us as a people. Yes, we're going to teach one another, and we're going to liberate the issue of language, foreign currencies, foreign institutions, foreign passport, foreign whatever, foreign. It is going to be a dead case on the continent of Africa, and the children of Africa would enjoy what belongs to them. There's not going to be North or South. There's not going to be English speaking or French speaking. We're all going to be children of one father and a mother, and we'll look at ourselves in the eyes. These systems are dying away. And anybody that still thinks, or any system, or any African particularly, that is still dreaming in the French language and still dreaming in the culture of arrogance or in other cultures, that is the past tense of Africa, because Africa is awake. Africa is moving forward. You can see the Queen Mother telling you how the mothers used to mobilize and collapse this system. Yes, we are not still there, but we're going to do exactly what our mothers do. We're going to mobilize. We're going to collaborate with our French-speaking sisters like Natalie and all the others that are coming up together. We're going to liberate our people once and forever. It is done. It is our time. If they kill us, others will come. You cannot kill a continent of 1.2 billion people and 300 million in the diaspora. How much more would you do it? Ask the Germans if they wiped out the Hetero and the Namas. Ask even the genocide in Rwanda today. What happened? Ask even the 1 million Jews that were slaughtered in all these places. All these economies have doubled and tripled, and the populations are rising. So we are not afraid. We are not scared to die. Freedom or death. We would liberate ourselves, and we will own the Africa that belongs to us. It is done, and it is happening right now. So back to the studio with Yaah. I saw you were just smiling beautifully. What is the way forward, Yaah? What is it that you want us again to know before we leave?
So when I look at the French and I see this desire to keep Africans, especially Francophone Africans, in this very bad relationship that is exploitative. And I say, if they had any sense, if they knew what we see, if they knew what we know, there is a demographic shift on the continent of Africa compared to that of Europe. We have a far younger population than. If they're not prepared to make sure that our own countries can thrive, then they will exploit us to the extent where we get together and we fight them, or we have a win-win situation, so it is their choice. But I think that demographics alone, just the basis of demographics, tells me and you that they cannot keep this charade up. There will come a time when what is happening in Mali, what is happening in Rwanda, what is happening in some of the countries of the Francophone countries today, Senegal. Senegal is actually sending a strong message. And when you look at the situation in Southern Cameroon today, if Southern Cameroon gets out of that relationship with Francophone Cameroon, with the Republic du Cameroon, if we do, and we want to, if we do, then France is going to lose about 40% of the economic gains that it's getting from Southern Cameroon through La République du Cameroun, because Southern Cameroon is making a tremendous contribution to the wealth that the French enjoy from Francophone Cameroon. So by coming out, by voting with our feet to leave that union, we weaken the position of La République de Cameroon to feed its French devil or whatever. And that is not, it resonates with other countries, and you will find that that relationship weakens and the French situation weakens in the global community, because France only has that position now because it's able to show, oh, look at all these 17 African countries, or how many of them there are, that actually are colonies, and they buy into this relationship. But if people actually vote, and the younger generation is voting with their feet already, then France is the loser. But I think that by providing the support that they are providing to Biya's government to fight against us, they're going to meet their Vietnam in Cameroon. They are doing something that is not beneficial to France, not beneficial to the other African countries that are Francophone African countries that are observing France right now. That is what I would say about the future. The demographics is against them. They are not going to win this one.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're opening up the lines for calls. We're going to take your calls. If you have a direct question or comment, you can call using our WhatsApp +49 1578 211 2379. Today's a Friday evening, and yes, everyone is chillaxing. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to observe the June 10th with our brothers in the diaspora. It's supposed to be now an official national day worldwide for Africans, and particularly Pan-Africans. So we're also going to observe that spirit, yes, of a one united Africa. If you have any question, or you have a comment, or you want to call, we're giving you some spaces to call using this WhatsApp. If not, I'm going to move on to the next question with Yaah. Yaah, if you look at the currency, you talked about the currency, because like our brothers in the diaspora, when we're talking for the need of one currency, you see the role that money plays even in this kind of illegal relationships, relationships that are not based on win-win, as you said. Can you just simply describe what the CFA, because the French CFA that they use in France is not the ones that they use in French African countries, and they don't even, the French people, their banks don't even recognize that money. What nonsense is that?
Well, that is that is actually a big problem for France now, because at the end of their colonial relationship with the Francophone countries, they created this currency which they have not been able to get out of. And if you see the reserves of Francophone countries are kept by France, France prints its money. So the Francophone countries don't manage their own fiscal space. They don't manage how much money goes into the system, how much their reserves are going to be, how they control inflation and all of that stuff. They unfortunately have gotten into this subservient relationship with the French, that to the point where the struggle to get an African currency is a problem, because you have, just take the West Africa, for instance, that we were supposed to have for the 5 regions, the ECO for West Africa, ECOWAS, and that has been messed up. As for the Central ECAS region, just even thinking about this is an impossibility. So each region is supposed to have its own currency. I'm sure you go to the shilling and whatever in East Africa is working very well for them. But now they just have to come together to get one currency. So if we had 5 main currencies in Africa, then it's easier to see us coming to the one currency. But that sovereignty issues then cloud that area for us, so that the AU is really dragging its feet in the one passport, the one whatever that is supposed to bring us closer into a union. So we as Africans started, the African Union started the idea of getting together, but the Europeans have taken the union and run with it. And so they come back stronger when we should have been much stronger, because I think Europe can even fit in Africa like 10 times or 20 times. Why are we still in this situation? It's left for our leaders to decide. But I tell you something, if our leaders don't decide quickly, the women are going to do it for them.
Period. Young, that's what we would say. Young, enough of patience. Too much patience there. Too much patience. Now, another question coming up, my queen. I mean, this is going back to your former career. The African Development Bank is one of the epitomes, also one of the powerhouse that fund projects and issue. But we have this. How do one apply? We want to own a satellite channel for the Pan-African Daily TV, for instance. And do you think we fit in the criteria to get this project funded from the African Development Bank?
You could do that, but just like the World Bank, the African Development Bank has a private sector lending scheme program. So you have the private sector of the African Development Bank, yes, but the basic lending of the institution is between countries. So, for instance, most of the funding that goes to countries like the World Bank does, the African Development Bank does as well. But there are also there are sectors that do lend to the private sector. So yes, you can actually have a private sector loan from the African Development Bank.
Okay. When you hear that, we say we're not taking foreign loans, but at least we can take our own. Let me pick up the calls. I think there's some very interesting calls coming over your way. Yeah. So get ready. Hello.
Okay. Sure.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Good evening, Ma Susan, and good evening, Yaah. Quite an insightful discussion there. And the question I have for Yaah is, anecdotally, from your experience working at the African Development Bank, I presuppose that you were in contact with some of the wives of these heads of state, particularly Francophone African heads of state. During your informal discussions, what is it that they tell you how their husbands are managing or governing their countries? Listening to you talking about the education or the differences in mentality between the Francophones and the Anglophone African countries. How do the wives of these heads of state come across to you when you discuss with them informally as to why their countries are run the way they are? I know. This is maybe it's too personal, but we want to be able to get into the mindset of some of these women who are supposed to be mothers who do all the things that you've described here that African women are doing. Being in that position, do these women actually see what their husbands who are presidents are doing, and what when you meet with them informally, what do they tell you?
Okay.
All right. A quick response to that question is simply that as an Anglophone, I interacted more with the wives of the Anglophone presidents. Yes, the Anglophone leaders. And I would say that their mentalities were not what I see among our Francophone women. For instance, the late Jerry Rawlings, I interacted very often with Nana Konedu Ajeman Rawlings, and she was a mover. I mean, she is very much a mover and a shaker, and she had projects that I helped to set up, working with women's movements in communities in Ghana, and that for me is a very, very good example of the kind of woman that I worked with, and who is very much a star in our own right. But our Anglophone men are different, and Jerry Rawlings, may so rest in peace. He's a different kind of animal. He's a really different kind of a human being. So look at where he got Ghana, and look at where Ghana is today. One of the better, progressing countries in Africa. So the Francophone women, no, not my. I didn't really get to interact with them at all. But their situation is dictated not by them, but by France, of course. So you take Chantal Yaah, her husband is busy killing supposed citizens, and she's never said anything. So you can imagine, what does that kind of person do? Even though somebody like Irene Yaah would have been different, would probably say to Yaah, stop this rubbish. You don't kill your citizens who are supposed to. But then you know what happened to Irene Yaah, so maybe you make more. And what did he say to Eric Chinje? And I will, do the. So let me not get there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you are so sweet. The strategy is very simple. I like the brother that called, because we have asked this question a million times. Naisha is watching, and Patrick Kasirim is also watching from the Pan-African Daily TV team. We've been asking this: what is the woman power of the bedroom? When they sit with this, no one. We are going to start putting out exactly women aspirants to be leaders. I mean, Dr. Mata Namunjebo of Namibia would tell you exactly this question, the answer to the question that you asked my brother. The day she's going to come, we will have her in the next day, because she's been going exactly talking to the the president's wife on the continent, or nearly all of them. And she asked only one question. I'm not going to throw out that question here. But the idea is now, like you, Queen Yaah, do you see yourself as the president of Southern Cameroons?
You know, I am of a different generation. When you hear me talk, I talk about young people and opportunity. And I would say this to young people, even though I did work in Liberia under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and I adore her. She's, you know, a grandmother, a woman, you know, very knowledgeable. We've worked in the same development business, but I think that my generation has one duty and one duty alone, and that is to help bring back peace to Cameroon and to give opportunity for the young people to thrive. It beats me, really. I think about it. Somebody, you know, you look at our leadership in their 80s, 70s, 80s. I am getting very close to that place. So I would rather see the young people come up. They have talent, they have promise, they have vision. Why should I want to sit in a chair that is not mine, that is a younger person's? The Obamas of Cameroon are there. The Obamas of Southern Cameroons are there. You know, President Obama is my younger brother. I would want to see our young sisters, and I encourage the young women. You know, the role that I would want tomorrow in Southern Cameroon is to take my experience and put it in an advisory role to help us transform, leapfrog our country into the 21st century, not to go sit in a chair. Look at all those Nyats and Bias and all these people falling up. Oh my goodness, please.
Yeah, you just said something. I'm asking again, and it is our duty to ask. You have looked at Sirleaf Johnson's and where she took the leadership in the country too. And you're not even half of. You sit there and you want us to believe that you are in the 80s. No, you're not even close to that. So yeah, what we are saying is, look, no, don't call the names Obamas in the name of leadership of the men that we want. Women in leadership are not corruptible. Do you agree or not? The question of corruption, even in your work time, did you ever had an experience where a woman would take a bribe?
You know, let's be fair. Let's really be fair. I've seen women take bribes. I've seen women corrupt. In fact, the initial corrupter of life is a woman. Let's be fair to the men. Our men are like potty in our hands. If they are corrupt, it is because we allow them to be corrupt. We make them corrupt. We are the people who give the values that our children, our husbands, our family members actually carry out to the street. If you are a wife and you know that your husband is a civil servant, he comes home with things that you know he cannot afford, and you know he is in a job where envelopes can pass, you are in a position to advise, because in our Bagalum in Bamenda, there is a song that goes, the best court of justice is your conscience. Mm-hmm. How can people live and live and be taking from something that could go to improve the lives of people, and you sleep well at night? How do you do that? I don't know. How do you do that? And yet, women of husbands who earn a little bit of money want to drive the best cars, want to live in the biggest homes, material things never change a human being. Material things don't improve you. You are what you are because of what is inside of you and how you treat your fellow man. You are what you are because of the goodness that comes from doing good.
Mm.
Why you want to acquire things? Look at Abacha stealing billions of dollars from Nigeria. What did he do with it? He died and left it to the Swiss. You know, we don't do that. But hey, this is me.
So the issue you're raising is like we never saw any presidential woman divorce their husband.
They
So
steal
they
along
actually
with their
like it.
yeah.
How much is the comedy?
They steal along with their husbands. Yes. If their husbands are crooks, they steal along with them. Yeah.
Okay. It is. I mean, we're loving this conversation because where would you see women actually trying, even though it's we're in a family and we holding this conversation. Honestly speaking, our way forward is the mobilization of so many mothers, sisters, daughters-in-laws, sisters-in-laws, mothers-in-laws. I mean, I'm talking in terms of motherhood, to see if it's possible to begin to take some of those challenges and address ourselves with these questions. If our men are that corrupt, are we different from them? We don't see any of them divorce them, so nice to have.
You know, we have Ubuntu. I am because you are. The core of African culture. In my language, we say, will the will be will. I am because you are.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I am is you too, you know. My father used to tell me, oh, you don't go to heaven alone. That says, how can you be enjoying everything like France? And France wants us to be the skeleton, and they take from us. Ubuntu. You can. I look at Bia going to Switzerland every day to go take care of himself, the spa, live life, you know, Baden. When we do not have a health system in Cameroon that serves our people, why do you do that? How much can you spend on yourself alone? A decrepit old man like that, taking all the wealth of the people, all the taxes they collect, go spend in Switzerland, enriching Switzerland, our own place. We don't have roads, no electricity, no water, no health centers. I mean, yeah, and then now they're stealing COVID money on top of it. Why stealing? Huh? You put a bag of money in a house, money does what to you? That bag of money cannot converse with you. You've seen pictures of where they are burning the money when the police people are coming or the law is coming after them. They start burning all this wealth. Why are we so greedy? The pastors must fly the jets, you know, steal from the poor. Africa, we have a lot of work, really. And I see somebody from my village saying, will the will be weird? Yes, will the will be. We have to. You know, we are not islands on ourselves. We are because of others. You know, that community spirit of the continent. Yes.
Queen, they are asking whether you have, how many daughters do you have that smile and look like you? You know, most of our young men here on the panel, they I don't know, when we're having conversations like this, what is it that Johnny Boy sees and asks a question on or in that sector? Anyway, you have a choice to ask. Yeah,
I have plenty, you know, I have plenty of sisters, I have plenty of daughters. Oh gosh, I mean, if that's what you want. But the truth is this. I mean, we really have to be serious. Our family members, our villages, you know, we have to make sure that people have education, that they have vision, that we plan for our lives, we do things differently. We cannot do the same old thing, you know, and continue. You know, we cannot change the Pavillon Irene Bia to Pavillon Chantal Bia just because Irene Bia died or we killed her or something like that. We need to make sure that our sisters, our daughters, our relations, our mothers, everybody is fine. We need to really put our thinking caps and give Africa a new reputation, a new look, and let we have enough talent on the ground. Let's go somewhere. Yeah.
I'm still coming back to the issue of funding from the African Development Bank, because I think this is a sector also where, particularly for the diaspora who are looking actually to invest in or on the continent, in every sector, agriculture, and like you're saying, we have a lot of skills out here, that these skills also would complement the development of the continent. Now, if you just want to advise, even like a consultant on retirement from the African Development Bank, would you advise the diaspora to actually put out projects there? And if yes, what sector? For instance, Africa is really looking into the sector of agriculture. I know we're still going to have that conversation of trade and funding and stuff with you, but let me just throw it out. One never knows. Maybe this is a chance.
True. Nobody gets up in the morning and say, I will not eat, I will never eat today, I will not eat tomorrow. So producing food is always going to be a money-making, is a business. We in Africa, we don't produce enough food. So we spend our incomes in importing food. Most of our rice comes from Thailand, from China, from places like that. We should be able to redouble our yield, produce, transform, package, and market, which close off, certain sectors. Really, food is where the billionaires of tomorrow are going to come from, and I agree with you. But I think that we should also go into manufacturing and transformation of food. We shouldn't just take the cassava to the market. We should transform the cassava, package it into all kinds of things, and then take it to the market in ways that make life easy for us.
Beautiful. Yes, but the question is, can they put their projects out there for funding?
Oh yeah. But not from sitting in Europe, no. From being on the continent. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. So we are almost rounding up, and I want to thank every one that has followed up this conversation. If you're here for the first time, we're running the campaign 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV, and we have realized the potentials of our numbers. Our numbers would make tremendous change. So if you're here for the first time, make sure you click and subscribe and share the link extensively. Just click the Pan-African Daily TV link and share in all your groups and WhatsApp. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a click, and you contribute to building the Africa that we want. We get 1 million, we change Africa. We get 1 million, we raise funding. We get 1 million, we build. We get 1 million, we kick France out. It's as simple. I'm taking the last question, and then we would be rounding up with the last word from Dr. Yaah. Hello.
Yes, I have a question to Yaah. Yaah, we see you are very, very involved in trying to shape what Southern Cameroon should look like. So my question I want to ask you is, do you think that the domain of agriculture, that should be a domain that is reserved exclusively for Southern Cameroonians, or do you think that foreigners should be allowed to invest or invest in the domain of agriculture? Thank you.
I don't see any reservation of any particular domain. I think we need all the investment that we can muster, because Africa is a huge continent. When we draw the map of Africa, we don't give it its proper proportion in comparison to the other continents of the world. So Africa is a huge place. The agricultural potential is enormous. I think everybody can, but we shouldn't just grow crops and then waste the crops. I think we should transform the crops, package the crops, do the whole value chain and sell, but also export. I think that we should not just think small, but think big and think global, that we can also export our own food. And remember, all those young boys and girls that are crossing over into the diaspora, they too will need our African food. Gario, you're not going to produce it sitting in Boston, Massachusetts. Even though I know you, Dr. Zama, you're probably thinking about how you will produce cassava on American soil, but we'll produce it in Africa and transport it and ship it to them. Yeah.
Oh, no GMO. Yes. Right. Thank you, Doctor. What is it that you want to leave us with today? I know you're very punctual and professional person. You were here 00. I mean, even before 30 minutes before, and we would not like to keep you again. We would still like to have you on a conversation with other women that we're planning out here to share perspective on how do we mobilize, how do we use the number, the power of number, how do we mobilize women to stand up. Now we are fetching you out. You are in the line of Dr. Arikana Chikomborikwo, even though you are the silent pilot, because what you do on the ground is massive. It's really massive. But I know you don't like those things. I know you don't like us to call you out, but sometimes we would start having to do that. And we've seen also a lot of powerful women coming up now, even though they're still really putting out a structure to come out. That's very good news for you, our Pan-African Daily TV followers, and that the mothers are not sleeping, your queens are not sleeping, and even our young men and papas, we're going to rescue everybody as well. So, but yeah, give us a takeaway.
It's a big thank you first to you, Dr. Chata, for having me, and a shout out to the women, the mothers and grandmothers of the Southern Cameroon struggle, the Tacombuns, all of you who have had to flee your home, who are struggling in refugee camps as IDPs around the country. This war is going to come to an end. Your children will have hope for the future. They will have promise, and life will be better because we all will have hands on deck to transform Southern Cameroon into the utopia that is Amazonia. We will be liberated. We will have opportunity. We will have promise. And I thank you so much, Dr. Tata, for having me.
Yes, an award for the African women worldwide.
Actually, for African women, keep breaking the glass ceilings. We have Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala at WTO.
Yes.
Madam Sirleaf had it. We have more African women. I see the leadership program in coming up with President Sirleaf in her foundation. Yes. Training women leadership for promise, and the women have it. I see the women, African women all over the world going for the professions, and just they have my heart. Keep kudos, keep doing what you do. The African women have it. They really have. This world is your oyster. If I'm going to come back, I'll be a woman. I'm not changing my sex for anybody.
Thank you so very much, Yaah. We are also very, very humbled to have you, a beautiful queen. I mean, the whole time you've been speaking, I'm goosebumps. Your smile, your everything. I mean, you have everything that every woman is looking out, and every mother, every aspect of all of us, the melanin in the motherhood. And your work speaks for you, my queen. Your work speaks for you. And I know that even your children or great-grandchildren and other women will live to see your legacy, the way you are putting it and the way you've put it. And we know that you're still going to leave three score squares. So we're looking forward to you. You have all the global contacts that other women would need to push for this agenda. And we're thanking you that you've actually given us a handshake at the Pan-African Daily to support every initiative that we want, be it questions and all organizations. Thank you so very much, Queen Mother. We salute you again, and we will look forward to have you here. When you want to come, what is it that you want us to set as a topic that you want to address? I want to ask you, choice.
Oh, well, Southern Cameroon's and the peace process is always dear to my heart, but there are other things. You know, women, we need mentorship, family lives, you know, how we also encourage our young men to get the best of themselves going, especially in this diaspora. You know, it's very, very challenging being a Black man in America. How do you then survive, you know? There's so much that we can do, you know, we can talk about. Yeah, sure.
I'll play the video.
Thank
Thank you so much, Yaah. Very well, Kubushi.
very, very,
Very,
yeah,
very medium. It just means thank you
thank you.
in the language of the kingdom. Yeah, very well to all of us. Very Queen Mother. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to see you anytime soon again on the Pan African Daily TV. Bye.
Bye.
Yes. So we usher the Queen out as usual. Beautiful Hotel family. Thank you so much for spending this wonderful session with the Queen Mother of the people of the Southern Cameroons. And also, we are sharing our gratitude to all the Queen Mothers all over the continent, all the mothers, all the sisters-in-law, all the daughters-in-law, all the mothers-in-law, all the aunties, all the queens, all the princes, all the daughters. Yes, we are thanking you so much, our kings and princes, for sharing this wonderful space with us. I mean, you have listened to this conversation. You've listened to why we need to get more closer, why we need to be more strengthened. We have listened. And if you see all along the conversations, like we keep saying, we are so sick. We're so sick. And the cause of our sickness is because we are disenfranchised. And because we are people to people, when we disconnect, we don't tap into the healing process of one another. That's the only reason why we are sick. The moment we put our pieces together, like today, like yesterday, like all the other days, family, we are going to get more stronger, more healthier, more laughing, more joyful, more peaceful. There is no other place that we can be apart from being in a family, because we're family people, like you hear Ubuntu. We're sending out peace to all the countries that are in this crazy situation, like the Southern Cameroons. We're thinking about Uganda. It is still not over in Uganda. We're thinking about Zimbabwe. It is still not over. We're thinking about South Africa, South Sudan. I mean, where can we start and end? Our brothers in Mali, in Chad, in Burkina Faso, in Ivory Coast, in Mozambique, in Guinea-Bissau, in West Papua. Where do we start and end? In Brazil, in Haiti, in China, in Europe, in the UK. Where do we start and end? In Ethiopia. Where do we start and end? We say all the time, Amanla, Amanla. And we are going to get even more stronger. I want to give a very important event that is coming up from our queen from Uganda. She is putting up the concert that she told us, the Wake Up concert. From the name of this show, you can already feel the vibes. The Wake Up Africa concert. And I am officially really, really humbled to say the Pan-African Daily TV is the official sponsor of this Wake Up Africa concert. Now, what is this concert about? We would have our Queen Kashmere, our Ugandan presidential aspirant, who pulled back last year's election and is mobilizing from the grassroots, connecting South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, North Africa. The Queen is on the move. That is the spirit. She's my younger sister. She's a daughter to Queen Yaah, like she was. She's maybe a granddaughter to Sir Ellen Lee Johnson, Her Excellency, or to Dr. Arikana Shikumbori. So we see the power and the lioness in the African queens and mothers. We are still alive. We are not sleeping. We are not gone. The lioness that roared during the time of colonialism and beat out the colonial masters have woken up, and it's not going to be easy. From our daughters, from our mothers-in-laws, from our princes, from the little teenagers, it is not going to be easy, not in this generation. The African mothers have taken their place, the African daughters, the African princesses, no matter what type, what color, what categories. If you are African, it is time. And we know that our ancestors are putting us together, connecting us with Yaah. We saw her majestically she didn't just come, she brought a whole companion, all the spiritual guardians that we needed. Don't underestimate any queen mother that sits in front of you. They come with a whole lot of breakthroughs to cast away all these elements that keep working against our unity. And if you see one of them appear here, and we tell the people, take a back seat, it is serious. And we are not hiding our faces. People, family, the Pan-African Daily TV, we would never hide our faces, no matter how much we are going forward, because we know that the power of unity is unbreakable and unstoppable. The hunger, the thirst for our unity. And that's why we are commemorating tomorrow with our brothers in the diaspora. Our children, our uncles, our brethren, everybody that were hijacked from us. And today we don't even know one another. Can you imagine? I did a research only on Cameroon alone. I didn't touch Ghana. I'm still going to touch all the communities. Most of the top American Hollywood celebrities have their roots in Cameroon. We're talking about Queen Oprah Winfrey. I put a couple of them, and I'm going to do a special documentary on that. But I want to throw it out to you, Africans on the continent. Do a research in memory of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, be them in Haiti or in the Caribbean islands and where they are. Do your own research. This is a homework for mainland. We on the Pan-African Daily TV are also taking on that research. Who are your root brothers and sisters in the diaspora? Like I said, Quincy Jones is from Cameroon, Serena Williams. We saw even Blair Underwood, Tiraji, all of those stars, Erika Badu, are all from Cameroon, their roots. Professor James Small is part of the ancestries of that. Now we're just starting I said only one. We didn't even touch into all, but I'm going to start with this one and do a documentary. Please, our homeland Africans, it is time for us to do our homework, to connect more with our brothers in the diaspora. Sometimes the stories that I hear when our brothers and sisters relocate to the continent and the experience they get into, it is depressing, it is shocking, it is traumatizing. But I also want to encourage our brothers and sisters in the diaspora that were taken away from us. When you go back, remember there is a cultural shock to bring you back to the land. So everything that you're experiencing when you get back, I know that a lot of you that are out there putting on good videos and work to encourage all of us to come back home. It is so much that is being done on the ground, but there are some silent voices that are actually being, being treated with, because of the ignorance that we know. And this, we are discouraging it and condemning it. Now, this is the one side story of, we're talking about the diaspora going on the continent, but we also have the story of the mainland coming to the diaspora. And we see that relationship. So we have 4 groups of Africans that we would be conversing and bringing you this information on the Pan-African Daily, because that's one of the fundamental reasons that put us apart from one another. I'm just using this session. I'm sorry for keeping you up again longer as planned, because we will not be live tomorrow. I already said. So some of the things that we ought to have worked on tomorrow on the Pan-African Daily TV, the programs that we wanted to touch, like June Thane, now we are going to keep it. But this, or Sunday. So those are the things that we had planned on, that I just want to throw in and give it as homework before we meet live on live again on Tuesday. Now we have 4 categories of our relationship. We have the mainland Africans, those on the continent. We have the African migrants. It means like me, I'm a mainland and African migrant. Then we have the African indigenous diasporas. These are our diasporans brothers, the way they call them, right? And then, so you have a relationship where the mainland comes to the diaspora and they have an experience in the diaspora, but they have their roots because they came directly. Then we have an experience where the migrant Africa goes back to the continent for developmental projects. This relationship on the mainland Africa and the African migrant that actually came and just went back, even in a short time, we saw a lot of discrepancy. We saw a lot of confusion. In a very short time, you could see how the transformation period, we're not even talking about the indigenous. We're talking about African migrants that leave the continent, come here for studies, come here for whatever reason, and then make families here or anything or whatever, and then they go back maybe, right? You look at the short period of time, 10, 5, 15, 20 years, and you look at the mindset. These are the ones in this century. It's not even a decade. So it's a problem. There is one fundamental problem that we have to address in our relationships. Now we see the same when the diasporans and the African migrants also into this community. How are our relationship? This is very, very, like I said, it's a fundamental research that we are going through. And we are going to be presenting this cultural difference. We have a very, very unique professor, Professor Dr. Nicholas Edwins. He treats this topic like no other God would do it. Of course, we also know that Dr. Wade Nobles or Dr. Jeffries and all the historians and authors, yeah, they treat it. But Dr. Edwin Nichols is the God of intercultural relationships. And we have been taking these things lightly, and we collide too much. We collide because you see the demographic. What is it that makes an African born and bred on the continent? Because yes, he was colonized. He was already oriented through the miseducation to think white. But then we come here, you see the struggles trying to keep our originality and the inherited integration process. What is the goal of what I'm trying to say about the relationships? The goal of the projects that will be coming on our intercultural relationship, I'm talking about us among us Africans, these different groups, why we collide, why most of the diasporans that went to the continent, we did also a research on it. We're not really sure of the percentage, but most of them came back and never would go again because of the experiences, right? So we're trying to see is also could time play a unique aspect into this process? How could we manage these relationships on the continent? How do we integrate? What is it that we need to be learning? We realize that we have a lot of potentials. We had a lot of good intentions. We had a lot of good talks about our unity, but we have to get down to researching what are our relationships in the different contexts of Africa. We say we are strong, we are melanated, we are connected, we're spiritual, we love ourselves, we are peaceful people. Now we begin to ask the question, are we really peaceful? We are peaceful maybe in the outer world, but we are not peaceful among us, right? Like we take our trauma from the street and then we bring it back, caused by other cultures, and we hit and collide it among us. We want to study all that to start finding out how can we better manage these relationships by understanding what the mind of an African on the continent, the mind of an indigenous diaspora, the mind of a migrant African. What are these three minds? They are three fundamental, basic difference. You will not believe it. You will not believe it. And that's when you understand that there is one unique thing that unites us, irrespective of this relationship, we still come along. So we have just little work to do. If we are aware of these differences among us and we work on them, on ourselves, our relationships will be much, much better. So Dr. Nichols Edwin is going to be our trainer on these intercultural relationships among us. I'll pick up your call. I just hold on a call there. I want to finish before I round up the call. Then the next issue that we wanted to treat that one on Sunday, of course, on the special, was how do we motherhood our boys? Our boys, particularly, I'm saying our boys. I had been hesitant, but we had a conversation even with Dr. Arikana. We had conversations with other mothers, Dr. Mata Namujembo, all this, even some leaders that I would not like to talk about their names. And they said, most often we always talk about the girl child education. We always talk about the marginalization of the girl child. But maybe it's also time that mothers should focus on the manhood of our boys. Teaching manhood is one of the critical things, aspect that we also would like to take on the projects. And we also have experts that will be doing those trainings. We have mothers that will really teach what is a man and motherhood or manhood. And when I throw the questions to this group of men that came up and asked us to do these seminars, and I asked, but what do you mean? Is what is it that you want to say? Just ask yourself the question, what is a wife expecting of a husband? What is a mother expecting of a son? What is a sister expecting of a brother? What is a sister-in-law expecting from a father-in-law, or a mother-in-law expecting from a son-in-law? This interrelationship brings another kind of a training. Why do I say training? Because our attitude and our reactions are mostly because of our trauma. And trauma is not spoken. Yes, it's part of it. But trauma is sitting down and relearning all these relationships again. I want to thank this group of young men, and particularly the mentor of this institute. I really would call it, they called it the National TV Student Network. And they're coming up powerfully to say, please start teaching us about manhood. So thank you, and I salute that courage, and we've taken it into our program. So I'm going to pick up this call, unmute your call, and I take it and we round up for today. Like I said, it's Friday. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, peace, respect. How you doing? How you doing, Susan?
Thank you, thank you. I'm faring well. We had a queen mother here, and we're talking about this our family talks. I cannot be even much better. Thank you so much.
Yes, I did. I was listening, and I was hoping to call earlier, but I did want to just make a quick suggestion.
Good.
The Liberia and Angola, I believe. I love the 4 categories, by the way, that you broke it down. That is clear, so clear. We might have different words that we use for it, but it's definitely 4 categories of African migration experiences and stuff. But Liberia and Angola, I was saying, if we could maybe have someone from that region talk about the repatriation, specifically because they have so much history around that, and how did that affect it when when people came
back? How did that affect their economics? How did that affect the culture and other things? Thank you so much for the show. I hope to participate very soon. There's a lot of things that connect with me, but yes, keep doing the work. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I've noted your question. Like we get, do you want us to get the experts that are there and have the experience, or what is the category of those that we need to get experience from them on Liberia and Angola? Just as an orientation.
Historians who can really tell us in terms of people, particularly from the Americas, returning back to the continent,
yes,
come back in large numbers. How does that really impact the people on the ground, you know, economically and all these other elements? Because I think sometimes people are concerned, and I've heard this, that in terms of expatriation, countries on the continent should be more welcoming. But they, you know, every country is in a different circumstance, right? Imagine if Cameroon welcomed, Southern Cameroon welcomed a large amount of American-born Africans into that country, thousands. How would that affect their food storage? How would that affect their agriculture? How would that affect their economics? With all the issues that they're dealing with already on the ground, you know, how would that impact them already, you know? You know, so I think we have to, I don't know, I'm working on it myself, which is the patience and understanding the very specific circumstances of every country, because some countries would love to welcome back, but they are already still putting together the pieces within their own culture. So bringing in a whole another category, that is our family, that is our people who've been away for a while, that impacts, you know, it's like if you bring a bunch of chickens and maybe the chicken, but it's a different breed of chicken, it might impact the whole ecosystem of the space. And some people, you know, they're working on that, but it takes steps, and, you know, they can't just rush through that. You know, that's what I want to make
okay.
it clear.
All right. Okay. I get it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. Me as a mother, I would just say, come back all. No shortage on the continent. No way. Our ecosystem, we at nature, go to our beaches. Everything is there. The land is there. But I think it's only when I'm coming that we know that we're coming to go to the farms. If we are coming to say we want to come stay in the urban cities and look for jobs, I think that would be a problem. But if we're coming with a plan, it doesn't matter how many thousands we have. If you look Africa and the migration on the continent, African is one of the, even Cameroon that we're talking about. Cameroon hosts more than 30,000 refugees from the north of Nigeria and other parts, even from Ghana in the past years and even now. I don't think that's the reason of space. Because if it is space, like Yaah was saying, our geographical space even has been limited to suit always who designed the maps. And that's also one thing we're going to show, those maps of Africa, you know, from even the time of the first colonizers. You see, every colonizers, if they see Africa big, so the map became big. If they see Africa, you know, the eye of which country actually was on that, they designed the map. So that's not really our land space and our air space, our water space. We still have everything untouched. So if we can go back, all of us, we are accommodated. Yes, I understand the shock of just going back. At the same time, we need to put infrastructures and whatever we need. But I think if we're already going back with the concept of, I'm going to the bush. Let me just put it very straight. I'm going to the bush. I'm not going to where I know that I have to get up in the morning and take these expectations will be good to go. Just a little bit of saying, I'm going into the bush. Watch the Bushman of the Calaris and try to imagine and say, I want to start on the continent there. If we leave the skyscrapers, the everything that we've been taught here, the fast food, and the terrible lifestyles that we've been all engaged in, and then go back, like I said, just get a picture of, I want to start in the bush, right? Any diaspora, particularly the indigenous diaspora, that would start, we always say it, think about the bush toilet. Think about the African bush toilet. It is the most safest, it is the most healthiest, and it contributes a lot to our ecology. So if you're a diaspora and you already trespass that step and said, yes, I can go home, I can do this, then you're already welcome home, because that's where it starts. If I don't have to, thank you so very much. And thank all of you for being here. I know that we're almost getting into the better half. I wish you all a happy weekend. Stay safe with your families. Check out the programs that we'll be putting on. I will be sharing the trailers, but we're going to be live tomorrow, Saturday. Not live, like I said, we're going to put on rebroadcasting for the next 3 days. So watch out what will be coming up. Very interesting. We're also going to do an eulogy about the late Kevin Kaunda, but not like hosting like we wanted to do until the official burial. We also want to do anything or to repeat the shows and rebroadcast. There's also going to come a broadcast message from Her Excellency Dr. Shikomboriko, and what the message that she actually delivered on the Africa Day. And the perspective is, China in Zambia. It is very interesting conversation. We'll be putting on that show tomorrow live, and so you can watch it with us. Thank you so very much. Stay safe out there. Drink a lot of water, please. Water. Drink a lot of water. It's so hot out here. We need to actually pull out, but put a lot of ginger, small ginger, and some citron into it, and make it a little bit bittersweet. And so it's going to chill your immune system. Thank you so very much. Bye-bye again. Yeah, jambo. Asante sana. Very.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.